Welcome, everyone, to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into a seriously fascinating analysis of a philosophical lecture that attempts to uncover the hidden mechanics behind our relationships. We're going to look at the secret curriculum of our daily interactions and the real reasons behind those sudden, jarring changes in life. Have you ever wondered if the universe actually has a mathematical formula for telling you you're off track? Well, the source material we're unpacking today suggests that it absolutely does. So let's get into it. You know that feeling, right? That inexplicable, lingering sense of unease in a relationship or a situation. Or maybe you've had a moment where life just completely forced your hand. I'm talking about a sudden job transfer, an unexpected move, or a relationship that just abruptly shifts. We usually chalk these universal frustrations up to bad luck, random chance, or just, the chaos of life. But the source material we're exploring today frames these events completely differently. They are not bad luck. They are deliberate, calculated signals from nature that we are, quite honestly, usually ignoring. Here is our roadmap for today. First, the true meaning of below. Second, life's hidden curriculum. Third, why we are relocated. Fourth, the 3-7 warning system. And finally, our limited 100 years. Starting off with Section 1, the true meaning of below, or situational hierarchy. The source material fundamentally redefines relationships using a really brilliant analogy, a golf lesson. To even begin to grasp life signals, we literally have to drop our ego-driven, traditional ideas about hierarchy and status. Normally, society dictates hierarchy through general status, like age. An older sibling is typically seen as above a younger sibling in a traditional family structure. But let's say that older sibling wants to learn how to play golf, and the younger sibling is basically a pro. According to the source, in this specific situational context, the older sibling's golf skills are below the younger sibling's. That means the older sibling has to adopt the humble position of a student. If they try to pull rank and act superior just because of their age while trying to learn the swing, the lesson completely fails. They aren't going to learn a thing. Being below someone isn't some permanent mark of inferiority. It's purely situational. Recognizing when you're the student is the first crucial principle of nature. Moving right along to Section 2. Life's hidden curriculum, going beyond the obvious. Once we actually accept our position as a student in a given scenario, what happens when we engage with others? Well, there's a core dynamic at play in every single interaction. Think about hiring a math tutor. The overt, obvious reason you're interacting with them is to learn math. That makes up 70% of the purpose of that relationship. But, and this is absolutely crucial, there is a 30% hidden goal. That 30% is meant to teach us other subtle, essential life lessons that we desperately need. Maybe you need to learn patience, or how to communicate better, or just how to see the world from a different perspective. You sought them out for the math, sure, but nature brought you together so you could also absorb that remaining 30%. So what happens when we completely miss that hidden lesson? If you go into that tutoring session entirely fixated on the 70%, just the math, and you ignore that 30% slice of deeper learning, an internal sensor goes off. The source describes this as a nagging feeling of dissatisfaction, a subtle, lingering unease. It's kind of like a mental pebble in your shoe. Even if you learned the math perfectly, you walk away feeling like something is just missing, like you didn't quite get what you came for. That unease isn't indigestion. It's your internal sensor warning you that you're missing the hidden curriculum. Which brings us to Section 3. Why we are relocated, which is basically nature's forced reset. Now, we humans are pretty stubborn, right? We often just ignore that subtle unease. But what happens when we continually ignore that internal sensor? The source maps out this really fascinating escalation arc. Imagine you're in a relationship, but instead of learning from each other, things devolve into just killing time. Step 1, you're just going to spas together, or endlessly wandering around department stores. Step 2, you're entirely missing the hidden lessons. You're effectively just spinning your wheels and stalling your personal growth. And when this happens, nature doesn't just let you stagnate forever. Step 3, nature intervenes. It forces a relocation. Suddenly you get a job transfer or you have to move to a new city. The actual conditions of your life are forcibly altered to break that cycle of wasted time. Now, this relocation isn't a punishment. Think of it as a highly calculated structural reset. The source explains that by moving you, nature is deliberately altering the concentration of who you spend your time with. That person you used to see 100% of the time, because of the distance, you might only see them 30% or 70% of the time now. The new environment forces you into totally different interaction ratios with new people. Why? So you can finally bump into those specific life lessons you were previously ignoring, which stops you from wasting any more of your precious time. Let's dive into Section 4, the 3-7 warning system and how these alarms start scaling. This whole idea of percentages brings us to the core framework of the lecture. How nature mathematically scales its warnings to finally get our attention. Nature operates on a strict 3-7 ratio. When you're 30% off path, meaning you're just missing a minor lesson, the symptom is just that mild unease we talked about earlier. The action you need to take is simply to pause and reevaluate. But when you are 70% wrong, when you're deeply entrenched in the wrong path and totally wasting your time, nature takes off the kid gloves. The subtle hints are gone. The symptoms become severe. Sudden spikes of anger, deep emotional pain, even physical illness or severe conflict. At 70%, it is a blaring red alert alarm demanding an immediate course correction. The source offers a very stark warning about what happens if you ignore that blaring alarm. If you're in that 70% danger zone, fighting constantly, feeling absolutely miserable, but you stubbornly stick around out of habit or fear of change, you are going to pay a heavy price. The source uses a vivid metaphor for this. You will get covered in dirty water. That means ignoring the final warning will inevitably end in a catastrophic toxic breakup where both parties separate with absolute hatred for one another. Nature will force the split, but because you resisted the lesson, it's going to be incredibly painful. Finally, Section 5, our limited 100 years, our ultimate boundary. Let's put all of these strict mathematical rules into the stark context of human mortality, 100. It's a simple number, but it represents the most profound boundary of our existence. The source reminds us that we are generally given about 100 years of life. That time limit does not change. Time is our most non-renewable resource. Spending your days stubbornly ignoring nature's course corrections, fighting through the unease, and wallowing in toxic situations isn't just a mistake. It is literally the greatest possible loss. You're throwing away your 100 years. I want to leave you with this final, powerful quote directly from the source material. These are the operations of nature. If we don't know these laws, we waste our given 100 years. It perfectly captures the urgency of this philosophy. Life isn't just randomly happening to you. It's constantly trying to teach you, correct you, and guide you through a hidden curriculum. So the next time you feel that sudden spike of unease or find your life turned upside down by a big change, ask yourself, what is the 30% I'm missing? Are you going to ignore the censor, or are you going to embrace the lesson and make the absolute most of your 100 years? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.